Okay, everybody. So today I have proposed the topic myself, and this is how best to respond, or what can we offer to the society at a time of difficulty, at a time when there is either disaster or some kind of calamity, something happening where a large number of people are suffering, either mentally, physically, or both. Throughout our life, we come across these things. Some of these things are quite far away to us and do not affect us as much. At other times, these are very close to us. Either they happen close by to where we live or to people we know personally. Then the effect is much more. Either way, we get moved by these things, moved in so many different ways. So recently there have been two incidences, two things that affected a large number of people around us here in New South Wales and in other places as well that affected or was close to me. I'm sure there's many more things constantly happening in the world, but these two incidences, one was the floods coming from the cyclone in Sri Lanka, Indonesia, and few other Southeast Asian countries, which displaced many people, caused lots of damage. I just got to hear that 70% of the railway in Sri Lanka was destroyed. Imagine that. Only 30% is left just for infrastructure. But the amount of people who died and got displaced even in that one country, let alone everything else. It's a massive disaster. But then after that, just last weekend, there was the Bondi incident right here in Sydney, which was also very people were shaken by it quite a lot. Because here in Australia, we live in a quite a peaceful country. We walk about without feeling any fear or terror or worry. It's quite a free place it has been for a long time. Then it becomes very shocking when things like this start to happen. So the day after that, we had a gathering with Bhante Sujato, a large number of people from connected to the Lokanta Vihara. I too joined that. And Bhante has just been in a meeting with many other religious leaders and politicians and discussing on how we can offer support. And he was sharing. And he also gave opportunity for people who participated to share how they felt. And we realized, how much it affected even the few people I saw. And I'm sure how many people got affected by this kind of news. And some people, they overcame by a lot of anger. Why these kind of things are happening. And others got affected by incredible amounts of fear and anxiety. Am I safe? What's going to happen? And then yet others also got really sad because of the devastation. And many other emotions and combinations of all for many people. And this is not easy. And then people were asking, so what can we do? How can we respond? How can we show our care? What's the best way we could help? And this is a very important question that comes in our hearts. And Bante Sujato has asked the Jewish rabbis, how can we help? How can we show our support to your community? And the rabbis have said that one way, two simple things actually. They've said just two very simple things to show their support, our support. And one was to light Hanukkah candles during this time, which is easy to do. And the second one is to give to charity. Any charity. Yeah, giving to charity. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful request, right? They didn't say give to us, do this to our community. Nothing like that. Give to any charity. So this was in my mind. And just a few days back before this happened, already for the flood victims, we have sent some boxes of excess things from the monastery here. That went to Sri Lanka. Then we thought, well, there's still more in our stores. I'm sure if we go through, we'll have a look. But without knowing which charity can we give, where is support needed, we start going through our stores gathering things. In fact, I have not been feeling all that well. My energy levels have been less than 50% of my usual. Maybe I'm coming down with the flu or I don't know what. But even then, I still wanted to continue to do little by little. I took some rest and did it. I could have done it later, but I don't know why. I had to just do it then. I was inspired, and so was the other nun who's with me. So we've been doing this for a couple of days, not knowing where things are going to go. And today, guess who turned up at the monastery? I didn't know. Apparently, somebody has sent an email, but it was not at the email. We were just busy gathering things. And the Sri Lankan High Commissioner for Australia just came to offer dana, just randomly. And with her came another lady who happened to be working for a charity, like a big charitable organization, was doing quite a lot of work, especially for women and but for others as well. And she was sharing these beautiful things that they do, like in poor countries also, like when women go into labor and giving birth, they need to at least take some of the very essential things to for the baby and the mother after birth, like some warm blankets, some basic clothes, some toiletries. But some of these very poor people don't have money to get even this basic essential pack. Apparently this charity was making really beautiful packs, exactly the things that a mother giving birth would need, and send it to few different poor countries in the world. They were also doing similar things for people in Australia, in Central Australia, to indigenous communities as well. I thought, what a beautiful thing. And even when there is environmental disasters happening, the women can't pause giving birth, right? This still is also happening. Imagine with all of that, it's like double or triple trouble, right? You lost everything and you still have to give birth and you still got to have all these things as well. So it was really beautiful, all these things that we have gathered, which was a large number of towels and blankets. And this lady was telling each large blanket would cut up into smaller pieces and made into small blankets, baby blankets, and will be made into a pack. So I didn't even know that they were arriving. And we have just without knowing made everything ready. It was such a joy to be able to give this away. And at that time, I had clearly in my mind also the request from the Jewish rabbis, give to charity, and sharing that merit with all of these people who had an unfortunate departure from this world. So just to remember, you just don't know how these things sometimes work. So just listen deeply. And sometimes your heart tells This is how you can, this is what you can do. Acts of generosity. There's always opportunities, places in need. There's always something that you can give. At the very least, you can give a smile, a little act of service. And this is when the real giving is coming. It's not just material things. This was, of course, the request, give to charity. But what else I was thinking, and I was sharing this with everybody when we had a gathering, that what is the best thing that we can give to the society at a time of difficulty? Because I mean, we all feel like it'll be good if we can meditate and spread metta to everybody. Or better still, if we can spread karuna, like that is, may all beings be free from suffering. This is a time people are going through enormous suffering. But then, some of the people who at the gathering were saying, even though I know this is something I could do, but my mind is not ready. I'm overcome by anger. I'm overcome by fear. I'm overcome by sadness. I'm very emotional, distressed with what's happening. Then I can't really, I'm not able to actually bring up metta, bring up karuna, to do meditation. And that is fair enough, right? We are also human beings. We are subject to these things. We get affected by these things. So we know what could be done, but sometimes we are not ready and we are not able, or sometimes we are lost. We don't know what can we do. And as people were talking about this, it occurred to me the best thing that we can give is virtue. Yeah, being a virtuous person is an incredible gift. Sometimes we forget how powerful that is. Offering fearlessness to people at a time when they are struck by fear. It was human beings who was causing fear and terror in people's lives. At a time, if we can offer fearlessness, what a beautiful thing that is. That is part of keeping our precepts. Yeah, the first precept, not killing, not harming other beings. But also, Abante was also highlighting this other point, which is, right speech. How powerful that is. This is a time there is a lot of hate speech going around. And what does that do to the society? Is that in any way actually helpful? Hate speech is never helpful. It only creates more hate. And one of the Buddha's teachings is hate is never overcome through hatred. Hate is only overcome through love and kindness. And this is where people are wondering, how can we have love and kindness when such injustice, such cruelty, such difficulty is happening? How can we have that? It's difficult. But yet, knowing that hate is not helpful is important. So not to spread hate speech and not to spread disinformation or misinformation. This too is very important, because these are the times there's always conspiracy theories and all kinds of false information, even apparently just generated by AI, is being spread. So to be careful of what you read and what you share is really important, because words, that we read and hear makes a difference to our well-being and how we will respond and how we will, exercise our body, speech, and mind. So it's really important to refrain from hate speech and spreading what is disinformation and misinformation, and instead spreading right speech, truthful speech, kind speech, words that goes to the heart, gentle, uplifting, beneficial, anything that is beneficial. Yeah. So think about offering these things to people around, people who are affected. And what is even more important, like Bante Sujata was saying, also is not necessarily to tell people, but to also just listen. Sometimes all people need is to express themselves, get things out of their heart. Sometimes there is no straightforward solution for these things. But being there for these people, just listening, showing kindness, yeah, by body, speech, and mind, just doing that much. It's a beautiful gift. Just being there for somebody, just to listen, just to hear their difficulty is a beautiful thing. It's a part of Sila, this is a part of right speech. Yeah, so doing that is incredible. And being a truthful, honest person in this world where dishonesty is so big, like with all these identity thefts that's happening. I've been told that in the future going forward, the education system is going to, educate these little children even for zero trust with respect to at least IT things. But once you get that in your head, it just spreads. Imagine what kind of world are we going to live if we can't trust other people, right? It's scary. And this is happening so much right now. Lots of fraud happening. And how distressing it is. Yeah, people full of anxiety, worry. What's going to happen to all of my life's earning can be just gone in a matter of seconds. Yeah, and all these things as well. So there's so much dishonesty, so much, so in a time like that, if you can be somebody who's reliable, trustworthy, who keeps your promise, do what you say that you would do. Yeah, it's a beautiful gift when people know you are somebody reliable, who you can rely on. It's a beautiful gift that you can give to the world. This is coming from our virtue, honesty, truthfulness, kindness, generosity, harmlessness. Beautiful things that we offer by just even keeping these basic 5 precepts, really keeping them and fine tuning it, refining it, taking it to the next level, even. It's a beautiful gift that we can actually offer. We sometimes underestimate the power of being a virtuous person. These are the kind of people we love to hang around. It's very pleasant, it's very energizing and uplifting to live with people who are virtuous. So, ourselves doing our very best is a beautiful gift that we give to ourselves and others, and especially at a time when we are unable to do anything more like meditation. Our mind may not be so settled, but we can still keep our sila, keep our virtue. And that itself is very powerful. And also, your own virtue also offers a certain degree of protection. There is some protection coming from virtue. And when we have fear, that is also a really beautiful way, because people are struck by fear when things like this happen around us. And when you have your virtue, your mind has joy. And that joy itself is an incredible protection. And if your life goes, if something happens, still, if you maintain your virtue, your mind is going to be elevated, uplifted. So it's not a problem, even if you have to die. Be ready. That's a virtue has many, many levels and degrees of protection that is coming. So we become fearless. It's not only we offer fearlessness to the world, but we also become fearless in the right way, just being virtuous person. So this is beautiful. So generosity adds to it. So when we are generous, I mean, being virtuous is an act of generosity as well. And generosity of material things is also brings a lot of joy to our heart. Our heart gets filled. I just was so just inspired. That's why I had to share just the story of how things just come together randomly and end up, creating such beautiful things in the world. And so anytime that you can be, there's always, you can always be kind. Always. Yeah, there's so many ways, and you can always be kind. So kindness is something we offer. Gentleness and truthfulness. So this is really beautiful to just reflect and to understand that the power of virtue, this is the power of virtue, and a beautiful gift that we can give at a time of difficulty. And not only at a time of difficulty, this is also how we prepare ourselves to face challenging times. Because when the challenges are already here, it is a struggle to do these things because our minds overcome by difficult emotions, have a little lack of mindfulness, lack of energy, right? Very emotional. It could be hard, which is why when the times are going well and there is no disaster or calamity, those are also the times that we need to prepare ourselves, starting from virtue, building up right view, and then going full force into meditation and establishing ourselves in meditation. So once we get more established in our practice, then even when times are difficult, even if we get shaken, after a little while we'll be able to catch up with our meditation. And of course, spreading loving kindness, compassion at a time like this is incredible. Yeah, so this is also, these are the very, very powerful ways that we can contribute. So it's not a very long Dhamma talk, but I would like to take some questions. And I also would like to open this space up for anybody who would like to express or share or suggest anything related to this subject or how to face difficult times. So it is open for you.
I have a question.
Okay.
My question is about when other people might react to situations with anger, and they they might take that anger out on you by yelling or other things like that, and you know that it's not you, it's just they're taking out their anger. It feels for me that people like that don't respond very well either. Sometimes, if whatever you try, they maybe just get more angry.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's good to sort of just completely remove oneself or not address it. But I wanted to ask about how to deal with that skillfully.
Yeah, this is important to understand. You already understood quite a bit that they are out of control. They are overcome by a strong defilement. So understanding is going to help. I've mentioned these things before, but it's always helpful to remind ourselves, what did the Buddha say? about when the mind is overcome by strong defilements. It is like you are in the darkness. So if it is pitch dark, people can't see and they just, bump onto you, like, bounce onto you, hit against you. Are you going to get angry? We can't, right? We can't get upset because we know they can't see, it's so dark. Oh, it's somebody who is blind, especially if a blind person even breaks something that belongs to you because they can't see, they topple over into something and something even very precious that you had, they broke. Are you going to get angry at a blind person? No, we can't react. We don't know. We can't do very much. They are blind. They can't see. Or somebody who's really crazy. They are really out of their mind. They don't know what's going on. And they can yell at you, they can scream at you, they can do all sorts of things. But if you know that they're mentally really unwell, again, you know, they don't know, they can't help. So this is the kind of thing when somebody is overcome by anger, we don't realize that it is like being blind, it is like being in the dark. They are temporary mad. That's how these emotions, and we can't understand because we know only how we feel, and we can never know how somebody else feels, and how even, people have emotional reactions to even words just because of a trauma they had as a child, and a certain word, what it creates for somebody else is so hard for us to feel. So that's just a simple word. But imagine an incident and a situation, and people when they are like that, they don't know how to respond. They just react emotionally. So of course, at those times, the best is to be patient because the Buddha said, Kanti paramang tapo titika. Like you said, you understood at that time, if you try to tell and do things, it gets worse because they can't see, they don't know, it's not the right time. Because the Buddha said there is right time and place. Skillful communication is to be done according to the Buddha's instruction. So in the meantime, of course, you can put your boundaries. This is important. If you're getting affected by, you don't have to, make yourself available to be, in a situation you get kind of abused or get into difficulty. So, of course, staying away from it, finding ways to, put boundaries, whatever, it depends on the situation, skillful ways. And even not being around is okay because avoiding or this, being away is a skillful means as well. Like the Buddha says, there are some taints that are to be uh, tamed by avoiding. And that is like if there is a wild elephant running at you, you don't go saying, I am a good meditator and go right in front of the wild elephant. You're going to die. It's going to crush you. Like if it's mad, some wild elephants, they are in their heat. Sometimes they are like they can kill. Or if there is like a tiger coming at you, you don't just sit there saying, like this. You have to avoid, right? So there are certain things and certain times avoidance is necessary. It's not running away for the rest of your life. It's just a certain time. Like you said, you realize they are emotionally triggered by a certain thing. But as the Buddha's teaching says, all these things are subject to change. They change. They're not going to remain angry, remain in that same situation forever and ever and ever. So it is going to pass. And while they're going through that, then we have to use some skillful means to deal with it at this point. So sometimes patience is necessary. Later, once things settle down a little bit, then you may be able to communicate better when they're ready. So not everybody is ready. Not everybody is ready to hear, and not everybody. Some people never will hear anything. Some people are very difficult to speak to. So these people cannot be helped. This is the real disadvantage. The Buddha says one of the real real disadvantages are those people who are difficult to speak all the time, not when they're angry. I mean, that's normal for anybody when they're triggered by emotion. That's fair enough. But there are some people there for their whole life. They never listen to anybody. So those people cannot really be helped by trying to speak to them. Even the Buddha didn't try. The Buddha says, what do they do with such people? He said he killed them. And then people were asking, how can you kill? You're not supposed to kill. He says, what I mean by killing is I do not give instructions to those people because it's of no use. Even a Buddha cannot instruct or help. So then we can just arouse compassion for them and wish them well. So life is difficult, and some of these people could be very close people to us, even in our family or our friend circles. It's like that. So people are varied. Some people can be helped, some people are not ready or don't make themselves available. So this is where still you can be kind, you can be gentle, you can be virtuous, but you have to also be smart to be kind. This is the thing, wise to be kind, so that you don't make yourself too vulnerable and in a position where you're going to get harmed. So it's a skillful means of finding out how to deal, and it is hard for me to give very general advice, but it's up to you to figure that out. So that's what I would offer. Thank you for that question. You ask good questions, Simran. Okay, so anybody else? It's still not even half an hour. I can't believe. A very short talk. Another beautiful thing that came to my mind as Buddhist practitioners. This is something to do individually that will still have a good effect on the society, but this is mainly for your own personal development. When things like this happen, when things shake us, it's a real time to remember the futility of life, the futility of everything. Yeah. Thing we said, like in Australia, we live in a very safe, we used to live in a very safe, peaceful place. And it doesn't seem it's going to be the same again. At least something has happened that shook people. So when you see that, you also can arouse a sense of urgency. Yeah, a sense of urgency. Life indeed is short. Life is unreliable. This life does not belong to me, it belongs to nature. It can be taken away anytime. That's what the Buddha said. Everything that I take to be me or mine belongs to me. It's not. They are all borrowed goods, including this body of ours and everything else that we have. When death comes, we have to give everything back and depart. Right? And it can happen anytime. So this is not to add to the anxiety, not to get worried about it, but rather to use that reflection in a skillful means, saying, no time to mess around, no time to just waste. Yeah. So what can you do? I mean, people have busy lives. It's not that you can drop everything and become a monastic or go on retreat, even though you might feel like that's what you might have to do, but it's not practical. Some people have a mortgage to pay, a family to look after, responsibilities. So then you wonder, you feel stuck. So I have a sense of urgency. What can I do? Take care of your well-being right here in this present moment. Yeah, whatever you can do. So this is why being virtuous at the very least goes a long way to make yourself ready for this. When a sense of urgency comes, being virtuous become a priority, because of good actions by body, speech, or mind, or bad actions by body, speech, or mind directs what's going to happen after death. right? So it is important, and it is the only important thing, and it is the only thing that travels with us, nothing else, just our karma, right? That's the only thing that goes with us. So therefore, it's a really important time to just as practitioners. And it is not a selfish thing, yeah? It is a beautiful thing because when we practice, when we start doing our inner work, it inevitably gives to society in big ways because you are reliable, you're peaceful, you're kind, many good qualities come out, and you're wise, yeah. So with all of these things, we still, by doing that, we are giving in a beautiful way. So to bring up that sense of urgency in the right way, not in a way that is stressful. So do what is in front of you, what you can do right now is what is most important.
Hi, Venerable. I had a little question. Um, you mentioned that virtue sort of helps counteract fear.
Mhm.
I wonder if you can elaborate that on that a bit more and sort of what type of contemplations maybe we can have if and when fear arises for whatever situation.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. That's a really
Maybe
good question. Yeah, that's a really.
especially around safety as well, I suppose. Yeah, especially after an incident like in Sydney. So yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, there is, I can share with you the direct word of the Buddha. What did the Buddha say? Yeah, because there is a beautiful sutta called the Jagga Sutta. This is sometimes being chanted as well. The Jagga means the banner, a victory banner. Yeah, banner, the Jagga is a flag. Yeah, flag. It's kind of strange. You would wonder what's the flag got to do with this. But this sutta, in this sutta, the Buddha says, before the Buddha, actually, this now involves the Buddhist cosmology. Yeah. So according to the Buddhist cosmology, it's not just human beings. There are many, many other realms, right? So there are, lower realms. There is the animal realms, hungry ghost realms, many different kinds of hell realms, that is lower. And when it goes to higher, also there are many realms, starting from the four great kings, and then there is, many, many different realms. So four great kings realm, these are also really powerful divine beings. And one of them is Sakka, he's the lord of the Devas, but there are also three others. So they are all equally powerful kings. They are divine beings. So these divine beings in the sutta, say something like this to people. If you are overcome by fear, even if your body hairs are standing up, you got this kind of terror, you're shaking, you're shivering, you're really, really overcome by fear, then think about our victory flag. So the Sakka says that think about mine. And then there are these other three kings whose names I forgot. But all four of them says, think about my flag, think about us. We will protect you. So these are the divine beings saying, if you are in fear, think about us. And that will take away fear. But then the Buddha says something very interesting. The Buddha says, but, the devas are still not without defilements. They're not fully enlightened yet. Like the Sakka, the lord of the devas, he actually is a stream winner. There is a beautiful sutta where in the Digha Nikaya 21, Sakkapanya Sutta, during that discourse itself, during a question and answer series, the Lord of the Devas, Sakka, becomes a stream winner. So he's pretty advanced, very little defilements left, but still a large majority of divine beings, the Devas or the angels, whoever you want to think as these higher beings, they still have these defilements. They're not as pure. So the Buddha says, in case if there is any fear, terror, worry, shaking, all these kinds of things happening to you, think about the qualities of the Buddha. If you can't think about the qualities of the Buddha, think about the qualities of the Dhamma, the teachings. And if you can't think about the qualities of the Dhamma, the teachings, think about the qualities of the enlightened Sangha, the monastics who are fully enlightened. The Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, the triple gem, the qualities. And then you wonder, how is that going to help my fear? Right? How is that going to help my fear? This is how it's going to help. Now it's very practical. How is fear kept up? Fear is kept up by the way you project into it, right? There is a certain way of projecting into things. There are certain views that you have taken up, certain perceptions, and based on those views and perceptions, certain way of thinking. Oh, this might happen, what if this happened? All these kind of, ways that you start thinking and projecting. And that is what gives rise to fear. Fear is kept up because of that. That is how it is. What can happen in the future? Nobody can say. Nobody can predict. Nobody knows, right? It's unpredictable. Just don't know. A bomb could go off right next to you, but you might not die. You just don't know. And your bomb might go out somewhere else. You might slip in your during your shower, and you might die. So you just don't know. Future is uncertain. We just project into things in ways that fear comes up. But what happens when we start reflecting the qualities of the Buddha? Then there is a change in the object, right? Your focus is now changed. You have a different object, the Buddha and his qualities. And the way you're now thinking about things is going to be different. So there's a break in your thinking pattern, break in the object, break in the thinking. If you remember, I often say this, manasikara sambhava sabbe dhamma. All the dhammas, all the mental phenomena, all emotions are originated from manasikara, the way you direct your mind, the way you give attention. Yeah, manasikara means both attention and how you think. So this is what the Buddha says. So this is why I mentioned how fear is created. Now when we change the object and the way of thinking itself, it's going to make a break and the fear is going to subside. But then think about what you're thinking. Like you could think about all other things, right? When instead of getting fear, you can think about sensual things. Then you end up with another problem. You end up with lots of desire. Or instead, you can start thinking about a way of getting angry, right? Instead of fear, now you have anger in its place. So there are so many ways you can think and change the object and the way you think. But those ways are not helpful. You replace one form of trouble with another form of trouble. So that's why where we start thinking about the qualities of the Buddha, it is not to just elevate an individual, but if you think about these qualities, what are you directing your mind at? So what is the first quality of the Buddha? Arahant. Arahant means a mind that is pure, free from defilements. So your mind is thinking about a state of mind that is free from defilements. A beautiful state to think about. The possibility that there are beings, not just the Buddha and others as well, but this is one of the qualities. A mind free from defilements, a purified mind, arahant. Samma Sambuddho, somebody who was a great teacher, who was really wise, and he shared his wisdom so that we too can partake with it. We are benefiting from it. As I'm speaking, we are benefiting from it. So when we realize that, you get gratitude come up in your mind. How grateful I am to the Buddha, because he was, Samma Sambuddha means somebody who taught what he did, his wisdom. So you have gratitude coming up now. Vidya Charana Sampanno, like somebody who has this incredible abilities and knowledges about everything, like not only psychic abilities, but who understood about human nature, human mind, all of these things. Incredible mind, right? You remember that, Vidyacharana Sampanno. Sugato, somebody who's just reached the other side to the end of suffering, beautifully, gracefully, gently. When you think in this way, if you know this quality beautifully, yeah, Sugato. Lokavitu, he knew about the three worlds, the sensual world, the form realm, and the no form realm. So all of these things, how beings are born, how they pass away, and he taught us about these things. Lokavitu. Anuttara Purisa Dhammasat is able to tame anybody who is tameable. Even demons, the great yakas, serial killers, all kinds of difficult beings were tamed by the Buddha, by kindness and wisdom. Satta Deva Manusanang, he was a teacher of gods and humans. Buddha, he was awake and he was a fortunate person. Just like, really beautiful, and there's many ways you can think about this in many deep ways. It's wholesome, positive, beautiful things where you too can incline to. You can depersonalize. There's no person, no being, a mind of a Buddha, right? It's something we could become. And you're inclining your mind towards that. And it goes away from fear and it allows the protection. So the Buddha says there is protection at a time. And the other thing is, it's not like it's going to stop you from dying. This nobody can stop. When it's time for you to go, it's time for you to go, right? There is no bargain with death. This is the thing. When we are born a human being, we could die anytime, in any whichever way. It's hard to know what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. When it's going to happen, it's an unknown. All we know is death's going to come. And we can't bargain, we can't stop, we can't escape it when it is there for real. However, the protection we get from doing Buddhanusati, Dhammanusati, or Sanghanusati is, if that is your last breath as you die, if these were the things that you remember, it takes you to another rebirth where you will come across these wisdom teachings again. And you can start and continue from where you left off. If you've been building up your mind, doing your meditation, doing your practice, it'll come easy because you die unconfused. You die with a mind that is elevated and uplifted, because the mind gets elevated and uplifted as you incline to these states. And it is a meditation as well, Buddhanusati. So recollection of the qualities of the Buddha done in that proper way is a meditation. And it has that protection in the sense your immediate next birth is not going to be a bad one. It is not possible when your mind is elevated like that. I have here shared some time ago a personal story from my own life where I was about to die in the sea, about to drown, right at the time where this is a shorter version of the long story, where I couldn't swim, I couldn't touch the ground, I was trying to paddle and keep my head above the water, but I was getting really fatigued, and I realized, help is not going to come soon enough. I think this is the time I'm going to die. And this was before I have started too much. I just started my Dhamma practice. I just know very little. I'm a layperson still at that time. So what came naturally to me was surprised. I was really shocked that that happened later, was this recollection of the Buddha's qualities. Yeah, because I gave up at that time. I thought, that's it, I'm going to go. So I was ready. I mentally gave up. I thought, well, if this is the day and time I'm going to go, I made a wish, maybe, may I get these opportunities, may I come across these beautiful teachings so I can continue this path. That was the only thing I had in my mind. I wasn't worried about anything else. So I let go, and there was this really beautiful light that came with that big letting go that happened. This is the light that people also see at near death. I wasn't dying. I was near to death, but not near death. I didn't die. I was fully alive. I haven't drowned yet. I was going to drown. But, you know, I just automatically started doing this. And where did that come from? In this life, at that point, I have not done the recollection of the Buddha. So it must come from my previous practice. This is the other thing when you do this. It not only protects you in this life, also in future lives. It's incredible strength. At that time, as I was doing this, I can't remember after that the struggle of when my muscles getting fatigued. None of those. And one of my friends who was with me who went swimming and managed to find some people, and some kayaks then came my way. But before that, another guy on a kayak came from the side of the ocean, which I never saw before. A guy from the ocean side came and called out. I don't know how he saw my tiny little head. It was already after the sunset. It was getting dark. In the middle of this great ocean, he managed to just turn up where I was, and I managed to go and hold on to his kayak, and I was saved. It's incredible. I don't know. This is what happened in my own life. And I remember the mind was so energetic, bright, and peaceful. Had I died at that time, I have no doubt I'd have gone somewhere good, not bad, not down. So this is how. So it's not going to like stop you from dying. In my occasion, it even did. I don't know how. I didn't die, but you might die. But even if you died, it's going to be a good one. So that is the protection you get. So fear is created. Fear doesn't do anything useful. I mean, there is one kind of fear that is helpful, and the only kind of fear that is helpful is fear of wrongdoing, being unvirtuous, yeah, doing bad things, unskillful things. To have fear for that is the only kind of helpful fear, because you realize, okay, if I do like this, what will happen? What will be the consequences? And then you have fear and you stop doing that. This is moral shame, moral fear, hiri or tapa. There's all kinds of different translations to this. This kind of fear is actually okay. But if you're talking about fear of harm, pain, death, the difficulty coming to us, this is created. Fear is not going to really help very much. Yes, we can protect ourselves. Fear can just, get you to do few things. But that's all. That we will do anyway. We can do it much better if you don't have fear. If you're more calm down, you would know what's the right thing to do. Then when we are struck by fear, confused, and then we don't know what to do. So therefore, it is important to find a way to calm our mind. And this is one of the Buddha's recommendations. There are many, many others, but this is one of the most powerful ones, that at a time of fear, that to recollect the qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. And another thing that comes to my mind is also from another sutta called Atanatya Paritta, which sometimes you may have heard. And in this, in a nutshell, what happens is again with the divine beings, again the same kind of divine beings, a group of divine beings. In this occasion, they were not the four great kings, but lower than that, the group of devas. They come and they say, because sometimes even for the monastics, some of these non-human beings were causing a lot of trouble. Yeah, there was these yakas like demons and all kinds of beings causing lots of trouble and difficulty and fear. Even when the monastics were meditating in the forest by themselves, there were difficulties. So these devas, these divine beings in this, according to this sutta, comes and tells to the Buddha, say they're very ashamed that some of their people, the yakas, kumbhandas, and all of these are parts of their realm, are causing harm to good practicing monastics. And we don't want that to happen. But in our community, we can't just put people into jail. So even in the heaven realms, these things operate unless they commit an offense. If you catch them while they do something bad, then we can take care of them. So they say, we give a promise. They say, like large number of us from our communities, from our realms, have taken refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha and keeping the 5 precepts. So even the devas keep precepts. But we can't make it that everybody do it, right? We can't make the whole Deva community does this. It's up to individual Devas. And they said some of them don't want to. So these are the scallywag ones who are causing trouble. So they say in the Atanatya Sutta, if any yaka, any demon, any difficult being comes and starts causing you trouble, difficulty, then call our names. Yeah, they say, call to the devas, and their deva generals will come and take care of these non-human beings. So this is particularly for non-human being difficulties. Then those divine beings will come and take care, because it's a strange thing for me to be saying, because not everybody believes or understand, but this is part of the Buddhist cosmology and in part of the suttas. Interesting. So, but in the same note, if somebody is virtuous, somebody is kind, when there are kind, good people, don't you want to help them as well? We want to, right? When we see a kind, good person, naturally, we want to help and protect. So if you are a kind, good, virtuous person, also the heavenly beings also want to do whatever they can within their capacity to help. And we hear many stories of how people have been saved by incredible accidents. They were about to have a head-on crash because they fell asleep while they were driving, and how they got saved. Some people, there's one person in the audience who I know who runs and falls and does all kinds of, haven't died or harmed themselves yet, and was asking me, how is this happening? If you are a good person, there is also protection. This is how. Also, it's not only just the karma. They were asking, is it about karma? Karma too. We are being a good person, we have good karma. But also, heavenly beings can also protect. It's not a given, you can't not do and just expect beings to do things, but it's to understand how these things work. So this is how virtue protects. If you're a virtuous person, that doesn't mean you won't die. So you can't, like I said, but the way you will relate to it, how you will deal with it, will be different, and there could be protection. So it's really interesting to know this. And there is also this thing about, the 4 divine meditations, Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha meditations. The Buddha says that if you're doing this, you will not come to harm through weapons, through poison, through fire. Is it true? Of course, if the Buddha said, it has to be true. But then there was this queen, Sama. It's again in a sutta. She was like they were really serious practitioners. They were in stages of enlightenment. and getting into deep meditation, and they were doing predominantly metta meditation, loving kindness. And she was the first queen, and there was the second queen who was Magandia, who was very envious of queen number one and wanted to kill her. Long story short, she makes a plot, and when Queen Sama and 500 of her friends, when they were on a meditation retreat, meditating together, the other queen, Magandia, sets fire to the building, and they burn down and they die. Queen Sama and all of her 500 friends. And the Buddha later said that they actually meditated and they attained to non-return state. They were all become anagamis. But yet they died. Then what is the Buddha saying? He said, if you're meditating, doing metta meditation, you have protection from fire, but they got burned. What's going on? So we have to understand when Buddha uses the same words, poison, weapon, and fire, to defilements. Yeah. So if you're doing metta meditation, you get protection from attacks from defilements, but not the actual. So don't think that now I'm a great meditator of metta. Let me go into the war zone, or let me drink some poison, or try and burn yourself. You will burn, right? It's not like that. So it is the defilements. Yeah. So it is the defilements that you get protection over from this Brahma Vihara. So it's important to remember. So, but all of these things will not stop you from dying or harm or pain coming to you, but how you will deal with it and what will happen to you, which is more important. Not the temporary pain right now, but long term, where are you going to go? That is what's going to be taken care of. Yeah. So anyway, I ended up talking another long thing, but we made good time. Thank you, Sandika, for that question.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. Thank you.
All right. Nilu says, Venerable, when we incline our mind towards nekkamma, that is renunciation, can the Mara influence us and drag us towards sensual pleasures more? I have a suspicion why you are asking this question. So the thing is, inclining your mind to nekkamma and fully being in nekkamma is two different things. So nekkamma, renunciation, this is in the right intention. Second factor of the Noble Eightfold Path is renunciation of the sensual world. This is the most, the way the Buddha explains nekkamma, a sensual world. So when you have properly renounced the sensual world fully, you are in first jhana. Yeah, that's the first level of deep meditation. The very thing we can't enter first level of jhana is because we still not fully a renunciant, still engaged in the sensual world. When the sensual world is fully given up, when we enter first jhana, then you're beyond the reach of Mara. Only then, when you are in jhana, first jhana. All other times, we can be inclined into renunciation, we can be trying to do things, but we are still in the sensual world, we are not in the jhana level, so we still have our defilements, even though our mind is inclined and going for it, is still in the power of the Mara. So yes, the Mara can influence. In fact, he influences a lot the renunciants. Because people who are just scallywags or not doing anything much, it's not a bother because they are going to be in samsara. Mara is happy. But people who are trying to get out of samsara, he doesn't like it. He wants to keep everybody in samsara, because so then when you are inclined to renunciation, Mara and his armies can try, but The thing is not to be not to be scared. The only way, the best way that the Buddha described how to deal with Mara is mindfulness. I know you, Mara, and poof, the Mara vanishes. So it's only becoming aware. So Mara can only get to you when you're unmindful. Yeah. So when you're unmindful, it can get to you. As long as you can maintain a degree of mindfulness, you start to see Maras all kinds of ways, then you are okay. But of course, he will keep trying to get to you. Yeah. So towards sensual pleasures more, yes, when you're trying to do renunciation, sensual pleasures come at you and can get, yes, this is a common thing. And this is where even the monastics, if they're not careful, if they're not maintaining their meditation and mindfulness, this is how disrobal happens. They fall in love, they come out of monastic life as well. Yeah, can happen. So important thing is, yeah. Anyway, okay, that's good. So everybody, we have gone past time. Thank you everyone for good questions. And see you all again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.